Welcome to my PowerPoint on unlockable jokers in Balatro. So there are 45 unlockable jokers in Balatro, 5 of which being the legendary jokers, but the main use of these unlockable jokers is that they offer more interesting ways to play the game, they offer different ways to just very unique different things, and primarily they are kind of stronger for the most part than most of the, 105 base jokers in the game. Not all of them, of course, but for the most part, these are some of the strongest jokers in the game, so you do want to actually unlock them before, you really start to tackle things like Gold Stake. We're going to start with the legendary jokers because their unlock condition is all the same, so yeah, every single legendary joker can be unlocked through the soul card, which you can randomly, very rarely get from Arcana packs, and, that's how you unlock them fully. You have to get them from the soul card for the first time. That being said, we're going to talk about Perkyo and Canio. So Perkyo, of course, is one of the most popular jokers of all, in the game's history. It's very iconic, it's very powerful. What it does is it creates a negative copy of one random consumable card in your possession at the end of the shop. So what you can do with this is, even if you get Perkyo and you don't have anything to work with it, you can copy Temperances and get a lot of money. You can copy Deaths to fix your deck. You can copy Planets to get a lot of levels in a poker hand. You can keep those planets for if you have Observatory. There's a lot of different things you can do with Perkyo. It's definitely one of the most flexible jokers in the entire game, and while there are things that, are incredibly powerful with it, like, say, holding a bunch of planets to make use of Observatory to try and hit Nan-Nth, or with Cryptids, or, again, a million different ways, you can do that, but do be careful with Perkyo. While strong, if you're playing, a gold stake 8 ante run, it can bait you. It can bait you incredibly hard because, well, yeah, you're always going to want to get Perkyo value, but hey, there's some times where Perkyo is just not useful for you. You don't have a good consumable, or you're being too greedy with it and you're not cashing out, and you'll lose because gold stake is not forgiving. Canio makes so every time you destroy a face card, it gains ×1 molt. This works amazingly, of course, with, Trading Card, Hangman, even Sixth Sense, because Pareidolia makes it so every card becomes a face card. If you destroy them with Pareidolia up, it'll count towards Canio. Canio realistically can get, a lot of molt for you throughout a run. And while, yes, you do have to give up your face cards, who cares? If you destroy all of the face cards that are in your deck, that's 12 molt that you give to Canio, just from destroying the 12 face cards that start in your deck. So if you have any extra ways to get them, Canio is absurd. It scales very, very well, and it's not even hard to use. Then you have the other 3 legendaries. You start with Chico, who disables the effect of every boss blind. Chico is considered the worst of the legendaries, but all things considered, that's still a very powerful effect. Chico also disables the multiplier of the boss blinds, so the boss blinds typically have a 2x multiplier, or, the wall has a 4x, I believe, and Violet Vessel is 6x. Don't quote me on that. I think it could be 6 and 8, but still. So Chico turns that off as well, which means that if you have Chico and you get to the last, boss blind, it effectively scores you half of any boss blind that you bring it to, right? Which means it's really not that useless. It's actually a very powerful joker, it's just compared to the other legendaries, it's not very flashy, so people think that it's a lot worse than it is. That being said, there's also some bugs, they're just bugs, that exist with Chico. If you have 2 copies of Chico and you play against either the water or the needle, the fact that they make you lose your hands and discards for that boss blind, it will instead give them to you permanently. So it can be good, however, the odds of having 2 Chicos is very, very low, so you probably have to have something like an invisible joker, or just, I guess, get really lucky on 2 soul cards. Yorick gives ×1 molt every time 23 cards are discarded. That's actually pretty simple, all things considered. It's really, not flashy in the slightest, but it's just a solid, very powerful joker. You find Yorick and you're like, well, now I guess I just have a really strong X-Molt option for the rest of my run. It doesn't scale as well as something like Canio, right? It doesn't do as many broken things as Perkyo. It doesn't It doesn't disable boss blinds to make it easier like Chico, but Yorick's just a very solid, powerful Joker that when you do have it, you're pretty happy to have. And last, but very certainly not least, is Tribulate. Played Kings and Queens each give ×2 molt when... Oh, that's funny. I should say when scored. Anyway, Tribulate is so powerful. If you have 5 cards, that's 2 to the 5th. If you have like a retrigger, like say Sock, that's 2 to the 10th. If you have red seals, 2 to the 15th, etc. Right, of your molt, which is incredible. It's insanely powerful. This is one of the highest scoring potential Jokers in the entire game, and I mean, just playing Kings and Queens isn't very difficult. For the most part, when people are deciding what cards they're going to be playing towards, in general, they're kind of going towards Kings and Queens anyway, because, you know, they're some of the best cards. So it's really not unrealistic to have a couple of enhanced Kings or Queens anyway when you're playing Tribulate, and then once you get it, wow, you're really happy. Moving past the legendary Jokers, now we get to every single Joker having a unique effect to unlock. We start with Golden Ticket, which you have to play a 5-card hand that contains only gold cards. Gold Ticket, of course, played gold cards earn $4 when scored. Gold Ticket is actually, like, surprisingly powerful. In theory, you would think, oh, it's only $1 extra versus holding the gold card in hand. And while that is true, that's still $1 extra. If you're trying to get the most out of your money, you're pretty happy when you find a golden ticket. It also, of course, works incredibly well with retriggers. Works very well with, say, Hanging Chad, which if you just play 1 gold card, you're going to get $12 out of it instead of, you know, 3. This is incredibly powerful. Or, you know, your Sock and Buskin or your Hack, right? They can also work. Or Red Seals. They make it so your golden ticket gains a lot of value. Golden ticket, it really is one of the more powerful money generation options in the game, I've found. I've started taking it a lot more often once I have a couple golden cards in my deck, and it feels very, very good whenever I get it. So if you haven't been using it, I would really recommend trying to use it more, but money in this game is so powerful that it's hard to gauge how powerful a money Joker is individually because all of the money Jokers are powerful. Even the weakest money Jokers are still more powerful than, like, their contemporaries in their, like, in general, just because money is so powerful. Then you have Mr. Bones, which you unlock after losing 5 runs. It prevents death if chips scored or at least 25% of required chips, and then it self-destructs. So, it's similar to Chico, right, where it effectively helps you score against, you know, your boss blind or anything like that. Mr. Bones, it's really just like, I find it, hey, I don't think I'm going to beat this boss blind for whatever reason, right? Say your deck is all face cards and you're playing against the plant. Okay, maybe Mr. Bones could save you. Say that you're just really weak and you don't think you can beat the boss blind in general. Mr. Bones can save you. If you're going against, like, the 8th boss blind where it has the 200,000 score, effectively Mr. Bones scores like 150,000 chips. So if you really are desperate and you need it, Mr. Bones can be powerful, but I usually like to say this about these Jokers that are situational, that very rarely even do anything. It's just like, don't ever take this if you don't think you're going to lose, by the way. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Jokers like this, like Luchador, like say Matador, where they're so unbelievably situational, they just don't do anything 99% of the time. And yeah, they can be good in those very few situations. I'm not saying they're not. But realistically, you have to understand the power of this Joker is, I just don't want to lose, and it showed up, and I think I'm going to lose my next round anyway, so I might as well take it, right? Or I'm going to lose my boss blind. Don't ever take it in any other scenario. I mean, like, yeah, I guess they're trying to get a gold seal on it. Yeah, but I don't know. It's just awkward. It's just not the greatest. And I've seen people say that, like, this is such a powerful Joker, and I'm like, is it really? Or are you just not only finding situations where it's actually useful? Then we move to Acrobat, which you unlock after playing 200 hands, and it gives ×3 molt on the final hand of the round. I've said this a couple times that I think that Acrobat is not that great. Like, yeah, ×3 molt is solid, and it can help you win in the early game, right? It can work. But if you're making the most use out of Acrobat, it costs you like $3 or $4 each round. Now, is it always that much? No, sometimes technically it's free, right? You couldn't have won anyway, right? If you can't win anyway, then I guess it's technically free. But to make the most value out of it, it's just hard and clunky and awkward, and like, it's it's just not the greatest. There's just better jokers that do the same thing, give times 3 molt, for significantly easier and not really, like, negative conditions. And a great example is, of course, Card Sharp, right? Card Sharp gives times 3 molt if it's your second time you played that hand in a round. Well, that's 2 hands to be played versus minimum of 3, right? The minimum amount of hands you can play for Acrobat is on a black deck. You can play 3 hands for it, right? So, minimum, it saves you $1. I don't know. And then Sock and Buskin. So, Sock and Buskin, you unlock it after you play 300 face cards across all runs, and it re-triggers all played face cards. Sock and Buskin is like, it's powerful. Do not get me wrong. But you have to understand that it's incredibly bait to pick up without really much else going for it. If you don't have enhancements, if you don't have jokers, if you don't have, like, anything to go with it, it's just, like, a couple extra chips. Hack and Hanging Chad kind of fall into the same thing, right? Where if you don't have anything to work with them, they're really just, like, some kind of not that great chip jokers. And, I mean, like, yeah, Sock and Buskin's definitely the best of those because, well, works on face cards, they all give 10 chips. So if you play a 5-card hand, it gives 50 chips, which is, like, okay, but it's not the greatest. That being said, though, if you do get, like, enhancements on your face cards, if you do get, you know, jokers that work with it, like, say, I don't know, an easy example would be, like, you know, Gluttonous Joker, Greedy Joker, you know, the bonus off of their suit, or, of course, you know, like, Photograph, or Glass Cards, or the Idol, or a Tribulate, etc. Then Sock and Buskin goes crazy. But if you're not actually seeing those, Sock doesn't really do anything. And I've seen so many runs where people would just buy Sock and Buskin and didn't have anything going for it, and it's just 50 chips for the, like, 3 rounds. And it's like, well, that wasn't a good joker. It was just a waste of money at that point. Swashbuckler is unlocked when you sell 20 jokers, and it adds the sell value of all other jokers to the molt. Swashbuckler is, like, fine. Like, the biggest definition of a fine joker. It doesn't scale well in the slightest because the only way to increase the sell prices of jokers is through egg and gift card. And it actually becomes worse if you pick up the clearance sale, or, you know, the discount vouchers, because that applies to the jokers that you have, which means the Swashbuckler is worse, so be careful about that. But, I mean, when you do find an egg, if you do find a gift card, it's just solid. If you have, like, a legendary joker, you know, they sell for $10, it's solid. It's not an amazing joker, but it can win. It can definitely help you in the early game, most especially because it's basically just abstract joker if you find it in the early game. Like, of course, abstract joker, if you don't know, it's gain +3 molt for every joker that you have. However, abstract joker gains molt off of itself. Swashbuckler does not gain molt from its own sell value. So it's just not the greatest joker. Again, it can be useful in the early game, but it's just not amazing. Troubadour. You unlock Troubadour when you win 5 consecutive rounds by playing only a single hand in each. And then Troubadour, of course, gives +2 hand size and -1 hand per round. Troubadour is just a good, you know, like, a good, solid utility joker that helps, like, a lot. Say you want to have a lot of extra cards in hand, right? You're playing high card, you have mime, you want to have as many cards in hand as possible for, you know, steel cards and gold cards, right? Then Troubadour's amazing. But on the flip side, say you are in a tough situation, your only jokers are, like, I don't know, square joker and green joker, right? These jokers that rely on you playing a lot of hands to scale pretty okay, then Troubadour, losing 1 hand per round, is not very good. It also doesn't help, like, you know, it also doesn't help when you have hands that don't really care about what's being played, right? Say that all of your scoring is coming from your jokers and your poker hand makes no difference. Well, then Troubadour isn't that great of a joker to have in a situation like that. Alternatively, +2 hand size is just powerful, right? It makes so you can create your 5-card hands easier. It's just a solid joker. It has its upsides, has its downsides. It's, like, not the hardest possible joker to use, and if it fits your specific run, then it's just a solid one. It's a solid pickup that can be used without any regrets, I find. Certificate is unlocked by having a gold card with a gold seal. Very simple, actually. When round begins, add a random playing card with a random seal to your hand. Now, seals are incredibly powerful. Red seal makes it so that if the card has a red seal, it'll trigger its effect, whether that be when it's scored or if it's a gold or steel card. Blue seal makes it so if it's in your hand when you play the final hand of your round, and that hand, of course, wins, you will get the planet for that hand. Purple seals are when discarded, you get a random tarot card, and then gold seals are when they score, you get $3. So that's very powerful. Certificate works incredibly well with hologram. It can give just solid seals that can help fill out your run. So you need a lot of red seals because you want to be playing like with one of these like Exmal options that whenever a card scores, right? Red seals works incredibly well there. Say you want to get a lot of levels in your poker hand. Well, you can use a lot of purple seals. Say you need blue seals. Say you need a lot of deck fixing. Then you want a lot of purple seals. There's so much stuff that certificate can help you get, and usually when I find a certificate, I take it for a couple rounds. I'm like, okay, that's a good amount of seals, and I just sell it, right? I don't want to fill my deck with too much garbage because, it is random cards with random seals, so it can be garbage. But if you do find it and you just have it for a couple rounds, maybe you just get like a couple blue seals. Okay, well that just changed the direction of your run. Now you can make it so that those blue seals will help you scale your poker hand a lot. Incredibly powerful Joker that, like, if used correctly, just exponentially increases the power of your run. Smeared Joker. You unlock it by having 3 or more wild cards in your deck, and it makes it so hearts and diamonds count in the same suit, spades and clubs count at the same suit. It's just, like, it's just a utility Joker. It's really not the greatest, because technically speaking, if you're playing a flush deck, eventually you just want to make it so you only have all your best cards and all your best suits. So, necessarily, Smeared Joker isn't the greatest for these flush decks. I mean, if you're not at that point yet, yeah, it's fine. The main best use of Smeared Joker, I find, is with Ancient Joker. Because it makes it so, instead of Ancient Joker being a 1 in 4 every single suit, never repeating, that technically it's just a flip-flop between hearts and, a flip-flop between hearts and spades. Or, diamonds and clubs, but they count as hearts and spades. So, that makes Smeared Joker, like, incredible with this Ancient Joker, because Ancient Joker's whole thing is that it kind of relies on having a lot of wild cards or having like the exact same amount of each suit in your deck, which is fine, but it makes it very hard to have a consistent flush when sometimes you're just not getting anything you need. That being said, it's just solid. It also helps with straight flushes, but straight flushes really aren't that good in general. So primarily you want to be using it for something like Ancient Joker, and if you do have Ancient Joker, incredibly powerful. And we have Throwback. So Throwback, you unlock it by continuing a run from the main menu, and it gives times 2.5 mult for each blind skip this run. So at best, Throwback gives you times 0.5 mult per ante, and you lose out on the shop, you lose out on any money you could have got, any value you could have got, anything you could have got for a skip reward. And it just scales incredibly slowly. Skip rewards are not good. They're almost never worth the amount of money you're actually skipping from the actual round. Like, and especially, I know people like to talk about, oh, I like to skip for the negative tag. Oh, I like to skip for the polychrome tag. Don't do that. If you're playing a real gold stake run, which is kind of what I'm trying to make my videos about, trying to explain gold stake a little better, don't ever skip for a polychrome or a negative tag, because it is a 30% chance individually for each tag to appear on it. Individual 30% chance for it to be eternal, which if it's negative, not that big of a deal. But 30% chance for it to be perishable, 30% chance for it to be rental. So you just wasted all that money for what? A Joker that's bad? You're also not even guaranteed to get anything remotely good. There's 150 Jokers in the game. If you have 4 Jokers, there's 146 Jokers in the game that it has to choose from. Terrible. Truly terrible. It's just an awful, awful Joker. I don't know what to say, because It's the actual best case scenario for Throwback is if you're trying to beat the game in as few anthys as possible, because there is an achievement for that. I would literally never use it in any other scenario, ever. I'm not exaggerating. I don't even think I have a gold sticker on Throwback because I've never taken it. It's just useless in 99% of scenarios. The only time Throwback is useful is if you find it on fucking Shop 1, which already means that you're already off to a bad start because Throwback already only has 0.25 molt, because if you get it, Shop 1 anyway. It's just a bad Joker. And then there's Hanging Chad. You get Hanging Chad by beating a boss line with a high card hand. Hanging Chad, of course, re-triggers the first played card used in scoring 2 additional times. I mean, Hanging Chad is just incredibly powerful. It can be used for money. You can put gold seals, or like I said, gold cards with gold ticket. You can have Rough Gem, which gives you $1 every time a diamond scores. There's so many different ways to gain money for Hanging Chad. It obviously gives you incredible scoring, right? Everyone knows about the infamous Photo Chad combo, where you have Hanging Chad and Photograph. Photograph, it gives ×2 molt every time the first face card is scored. So Hanging Chad, it scores it 2 additional times. So effectively ×8 molt. Very powerful. It can help you with like scaling, right? If you have a Wii Joker and you play it 2, it'll give multiple procs to that, or any other Joker that has something similar. Just unbelievably versatile Joker. It doesn't have any conditions. It's just only the first card, yeah, but a lot of the time that's all you really need. If you only have 1 glass card, well, you're not upset. If you only have 1 gold card, you're not that upset. If you only have 1 molt card or 1 lucky card, you're not that upset with Hanging Chad just triggering it twice. 2 additional times. To me, very, very powerful. Like, Hanging Chad's just a super simple, super powerful Joker that if you find, it's usually good to take, usually because there's a lot of on-score effects in the game, whether it be enhancements, whether it be seals, whether it be Jokers, in general, right? Hanging Chad, again, it doesn't really have any condition compared to, like, Sock and Buskin or Hack, so it's easier to use as well. Then you have Rough Gem. Rough Gem, you unlock it when you have at least 30 diamonds in your deck, and it gives $1 every time a diamond suit is scored. Just super solid. It gives you a lot of money. I'll have runs where Rough Gem will have effectively given me like $50, $60 throughout the run, even if I'm not playing like a flush build, right? Like I mentioned, with Hanging Chad, it can just give you so much money for every single hand that's being played. Yeah, of course, if you are playing, you know, like 5 cards, they all have red seals, and they all have a retrigger, yeah, you can get $15 per hand with it, which is solid. That's really not the best way to use it, I find. Yeah, of course, it's obviously great if you're playing diamond suits. I'm not gonna say it isn't, but I find the best way to use Rough Gem is you're playing a couple of diamonds, and you're just going net positive on a hand-to-money ratio, right? Every hand is $1, so if you play a hand that has like 2 diamonds in it minimum, you're getting more money out of your Rough Gem. And that's the best way I find to use it, right? Yeah, obviously it's going to be good with the flushes, but you're not always playing diamond flushes, and it's still a powerful Joker even if you aren't. Bloodstone. You unlock Bloodstone by having 30 hearts in your deck. It's just, obviously, it's the same as Rough Gem, same as Honest Agate, same as Arrowhead, just suit, have 30 of them in your deck. It has a 1 in 2 chance for played cards with Heart Suit to give 1.5x molt when scored. Super powerful. Bloodstone does somewhat, I will say somewhat, require you to have Oops All Sixes, which, of course, it doubles the probability of the any card you play, or any effect you have, so make Bloodstone work 100% of the time. I've lost so many runs to Bloodstone just not hitting a single time. It happens, right? And when you do have an actual, like, Oops All Sixes Bloodstone, it's really powerful. Don't get me wrong. 1.5, you know, I already talked about how Tribulate is super powerful, and it's technically slightly weaker, but still, it's really powerful. That being said, it's just like, it does have a crutch, right? You kind of need that Oops All Sixes to be consistent with it. Is it necessary and you definitely need it? No, you can win without it, but if you're like me and you have the worst luck imaginable, anytime ever there's like a perceivable chance you'll always fail, then yeah, I'm cautious about Bloodstone. It is incredibly powerful, right? But you do have to note that because it is an on-score effect, you have to have a lot of levels in Jupiter or some other way to gain on-score effects for Bloodstone to be as powerful as possible, because Jupiter is the worst scaling 5-card hand, flushes, I mean. It gives 25 chips and 2 molt. Like, again, if you compare that to other 5-card hands, like Straights and Saturn, they give plus 30 chips, plus 30 molt, just not the greatest. That being said, you have to have a lot of levels in Flush to make Bloodstone as valuable as possible, but when you do, it's incredibly powerful. Arrowhead. Of course, you need to have at least 30 spades in your deck to unlock it, and when you play a card with the spade suit, it gives plus 50 chips when scored. So, Stuntman is an incredibly powerful Joker. It gives plus 250 chips, and you lose -2 hand size. As a rare, Arrowhead, of course, it's an uncommon, I believe, so it's not even like it's a bad Joker. I've seen people hate on Arrowhead before, but why? I actually don't get it. It's a solid Joker. It's like, it can carry your early game. If you have any tiny bit of flat molt, it carries you through the first couple antes incredibly hard. It's super simple, and like, chips are kind of underrated because people, like, I'm not the greatest at math, okay? So I don't know the words, but when you add chips, as long as you can equalize the chip and molt, it's better than just adding more to your molt, right? So 100 times 100 is obviously better than, say, 50 times 200, right? If my math is correct. I don't know, I'm bad at math. That probably isn't even right. Anyway, it would be better to add to the chips, say if your molt is already so high, then just add more to your molt. It won't really do much. So Arrowhead does a really good job there. I already talked about how flushes kind of don't scale that well. So getting a bunch of chips from Arrowhead, it can really help you. But that being said, if you just get 10 Jupiters, that also gives 250 chips. So like, a big thing about chips is that they fall off when you have a lot more levels in your planets, because your planets actually give a lot of chips. They give way more chips than they give molt. So chips kind of don't scale that well into the later game, but like in the early game, they're incredible to have a lot of chips. Obviously, if you're playing like Plasma deck, well, that doesn't matter. It's better to have a lot of one thing than some of both, but still. Onyx Agate, you unlock by having 30 clubs in your deck, and it makes it so each card with the club suit scored gives plus 7 molt. So everything I said about Arrowhead basically applies to Onyx Agate, but it's just molt. If you get any amount of chips, any early levels in your flush, you can do some crazy stuff with Onyx Agate. You can use these with outside of flush builds, but like, why? Onyx Agate, of course, it gives plus 35 molt, which is really huge for the early game. I always say that like a solid early game Joker can give you about like 15 molt, and it's just good in the early game. 35, that's insane, right? You only really need 2 hits of clubs to actually make it, reach 14, which is, still fine. But even past that, 21, 28, 35, it's incredibly powerful. Again, doesn't scale the greatest. Yeah, it only gives 35 molt, which after a while is kind of nothing. You can get past that with just enough levels in Jupiter. Not likely, to be honest, but it can happen. But early game, super solid. Literally nothing to scoff at. So these two in particular, though, you can, of course, use pretty well together with a Smear Joker. I actually had a run, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where I had both of these and a Smear Joker, and I was like, wow, that was kind of cool. Is it, like, super powerful? Not really, because you got 2 kind of not that great late game Jokers and a Joker that does no scoring, so I barely won my run, but it was still really cool to actually experience it. Glass Joker is unlocked by having 5 or more glass cards in your deck, and it gives times 0.75 molt for every glass card that's destroyed. It's like, fine, right? It's not really easy to play for because it's not super common. You already have to have glass cards in your deck to even see it, and like, glass cards aren't guaranteed to break, but if you do have a couple of glass cards, you got a couple early Justices, or you picked up some glass cards from some packs, it can be okay, but it's not that consistent, and like, it can get you up to like times 4, times 5-ish range molt, and that's just solid, but again, glass cards are pretty inconsistent in actually breaking, and you kind of don't want them to break anyway, so it's like, I don't know. Glass Joker, solid Joker, not very easy to use, not very common to use. It's just fine. Showman, you have to reach ante level 4, and what it does, it makes it so Joker, Tarot, and Planet, and special cards may appear multiple times. So if you already are holding one in either your consumable slot or your Joker slots, and you have Showman, it can show up again in the shop. Showman is pretty awful in a regular gold stake run. Just straight up, it's not good. Like, it can do stuff, don't get me wrong, but if you're just trying to beat a gold stake, 8 antes, it's not the greatest. It does get really, really powerful in Endless, though, because you have way more money, you have more time, and realistically, if you're making it super far in Endless with Showman, you're already strong anyway, so you're looking for already strong Jokers to get more copies of them. Showman, I mean, its primary use, right, is you're using it to get more blueprints, more brainstorms, or if you're playing certain builds, right, say if you're playing, high card builds, you want more mimes, you want more barons, right, Showman can help you there. That being said, I would never ever take this in a gold stake run. I don't know if I have a gold sticker on it myself, but I haven't like gone to finish everything yet, so probably don't. But I would never take it if I'm actually trying to win a real gold stake run on basically any deck. So do be careful. You can do it, right? Obviously, if you find like a freaking polychrome Showman, you're like, wow, I'm not gonna take it. Yeah, it can be useful, but you have to be careful, because a big thing about Balatro that shows like at higher level players do is they hold consumables. They'll hold planet cards. They'll hold tarot cards because they don't want them to show up in the shop so they can get what they want more often. And technically you do that with Jokers anyway. Showman does not let you do that. So it makes some things less consistent. And again, if you're a higher level player, or even if you're just trying to get better at the game, you need to learn how to hold cards and show restraint. Only selling cards if you're going to reach an interest cap, or if you actually need to use it before you enter your next shop, because you're technically wasting a roll by using those cards for no reason if they were to just show up in your shop, right? You missed a planet roll, you missed a tarot roll, and that's not good. So Showman, like, yeah, it can be useful in these scenarios, but yikes. Big yikes. Flowerpot. So Flowerpot, you unlock it by reaching level ante level 8, and it gives ×3 mult if poker hand contains a diamond, club, heart, and spade. So yeah, Flowerpot is one of the worst Jokers in the game. It's just, I don't know what else to say. It's very unreliable. It requires a lot of wild cards, which I haven't really talked about yet, but I mean, if you see my other videos, you know. Wild cards are the worst, like, enhancement card. They just are. You only get one wild card from Lovers, and they don't do anything. All they do is act as every suit. That's it. Local Thunk has already stated that he plans to do more with wild cards, so maybe this is all going to change, obviously, at some point, but yeah. You do all of that work to get ×3 mult, which is not very much. And if you don't have wild cards, the odds that you're able to play a hand with 4 different suits in it is really hard. Works with Smeared Joker, obviously, but again, if you're using Smeared Joker, you don't want a bad Joker to go alongside it. ×3 mult is just not worth it for the condition of Flowerpot. I don't even know how you fix it, right? Because if you make it like ×4 or ×5, that could just be disgusting, right? I think it's just a fundamentally flawed Joker. And it's weird, right? There aren't that many Jokers in Balatro. They're just fundamentally flawed, but Flowerpot definitely is one of them. Blueprint. You unlock it by winning one run, and it copies the ability of the Joker to the right. Realistically, Blueprint is the best Joker in the game. I mean, what can be said to be better, right? It does almost everything. It doesn't copy end of round effects, but basically, aside from that, it's pretty good. You can put it on Perkyo to get more consumables. You can put it on your money generation to get more money. You can put it on your scoring to act as, either a time. If you're putting it on a flat mult, it's technically a ×2 mult, which is no conditional ×2 is pretty good. But you can put it on, your sock and buskin to retrigger more times. You can put it on your photograph to retrigger more times. You can put it on literally anything, and it's just incredibly powerful. And you can put it on, like, your value jokers. You could put it on, like, burnt joker to get more levels in your poker hand. You could put it on... Oh, there's so many jokers. You could, I mean, you could put it on your rough gem to get more money, like I said earlier. There's just so many things that Blueprint can do. And, like, yes, it copies your best joker, and therefore still your best joker, but it also copies your worst joker. What if your worst joker, all it does is it's like faceless joker, right? You're playing faceless joker, and while faceless joker is okay, it's not the best joker you have currently. Okay, you can still get value from it with Blueprint. You can still get an extra money from Blueprint and faceless joker. It's super powerful, and the versatility of this is just nothing comes close. Even Brainstorm, which is technically Blueprint but worse, is Blueprint but worse. We'll get to that later, but it's just, yeah. If there's any joker in the game that you have to learn to use, it's Blueprint. Because you have to actively be using Blueprint and think about where it's positioned every single time before you do anything to get the most value out of it, or it's just not as powerful as it can be. Super, super powerful joker, though. I love Blueprint. I mean, it's not unrealistic to say that Blueprint is a lot of people's favorite joker, or up there for a lot of people. Just super powerful. Then we have Wii Joker, and Wii Joker, you unlock it after you win a run in 18 or fewer rounds. This is what I was talking about. You could use it with, like, Throwback, I guess. I mean, I don't even know. And Wii Joker gains plus 8 chips whenever a play 2 is scored. Wii Joker just scales really hard. I said before that a lot of chip jokers are kind of bad because they kind of don't really, or they just like are flat, or they get outscaled by getting a lot of planet cards. Wii Joker doesn't get outscaled by planet cards very easily. You would need like a lot of planet cards to outscale Wii Joker, and yeah. Typically, when you are playing Wii Joker, you're able to get a couple of 2s. Maybe you'll play like 3 of a kind to get as many 2s as possible. You'll play some retriggers like Hack or Hanging Chad to get some more 2 values. It's definitely possible, of course, to play 2 of a kind or 5 of a kind or flush 5 with all 2s. Just not, obviously, it's not easy. It takes a lot of deck fixing to do. But you can get value out of Wii Joker with just a Hanging Chad and not even like that much deck fixing. You'll gain 32 chips from just a 2 getting triggered multiple times, and that's nothing to scoff at, right? 32 chips. Like, consider, like, Runner gives you 15 chips for playing a straight. That's a whole straight you have to be playing. You can just play a high card with 2s and get a lot of chips. Very powerful joker. Again, if you get any little amount of molt to go with it, flat molt, it's super powerful. Just good, solid joker. Very fun to use. Marry Andy. You unlock this by winning in 12 or fewer rounds. Again, Throwback technically helps for that, but and it gives plus 3 discards each round and minus 1 hand size. So, minus 1 hand size can be pretty significant, right? If you're playing like a lot of 5-card hands, it can hurt. Or if you're trying to play like a high card build and you want to have a bunch of steel and gold cards, it can not be great there. But if your whole thing is you want to get through your deck to get to your good cards, Marry Andy adds 15 more cards that you can cycle through your deck. So if you just desperately want to be getting a bunch of blue seals or a bunch of, glass cards, etc., right? You only really care about those cards in particular. Marry Andy is solid. Yeah, you're losing out on 1 hand size, right? I'm not denying that, but you're gaining 15 total cards to be extra discarded, which, mathematically is definitely more than minus 1 hand size. So Marry Andy, just super powerful for cycling through your deck. Obviously, there's a lot of powerful discard synergy jokers. There's Burnt Joker, there's Purple Seals, there's Faceless Joker, there's... I'm trying to think. Anyway, there's a lot of powerful jokers, and if you do know about, like, Gold Stake, you know about Blue Stake. Blue Stake makes it so that every deck in the game goes from having 4 if you're playing red deck, obviously, 3 discards to, at Blue Stake, you lose 1 discard, and you lose 1 discard all forever. Blue Stake is like the second stake in the game, I think. So losing that discard is huge for the implications of beating all the rest of the stakes. So Marry Andy, it definitely helps making up for the discard that you're losing. Now, notably, Blue Stake is getting reworked because even Local Thunk thinks it's bullshit. So Marry Andy technically becomes worse when Blue Stake gets reworked, but it's not like it's going to become a bad joker. Solid utility joker, helps you with so many different things, just very solid. Oops All Sixes. You unlock it by earning at least 10,000 chips in a single hand. Like I've said before, it doubles all listed probabilities. Oops All Sixes is just super powerful. It works with Bloodstone. It works with Lucky cards. It technically works with Glass cards if you're trying to break them, or with like Banana if you're trying to break that. It works with what's it called? It works with 8-Ball. It works with just so many different other jokers. It works with Hallucination. So many jokers that work with it, and it just powerful utility joke. Like I said before, if you do have it with like a Bloodstone, it effectively makes it so your scoring is more consistent, therefore making it really good at scoring. It's really good for money generation, and like, it's not insignificant. If you do have a run with Oops All Sixes and a bunch of lucky cards, realistically, you can get like more money hits from your, twice as many money hits from your lucky cards, actually, and that alone makes Oops All Sixes like a powerful money joker as well. Just a super powerful joker. Do note, it does work with like any boss blinds that mention like a 1 in 7, like the wheel. So you do have to be careful there. The idol. So the idol is just like, of course, you have to earn, to unlock you have to earn at least 1 million chips in one hand, and then each played rank of suit, so each played 10 of diamonds, each played 4 of clubs, etc., gives ×2 Molt1 score. The idol is the ultimate deck fixing joker. No, I do not believe any joker in the entire game benefits from deck fixing as much as the idol, because when you remove jokers from your deck, when you move cards from your deck, the idol cannot even hit them anymore. So if you only have one card in your deck, the idol only can hit that card. That's also how Mail-in Rebate works, but like, Mail-in Rebate is good even without deck fixing. The idol desperately needs a lot of deck fixing. Once you do get it to that point, though, you know everything I said about Tribule? Yeah, except it's not Kings and Queens, it's that card in particular. So if you have other jokers that work with that card in particular, say you have Hack, you know, you can hack with your idol and it's on 2s. Hack idol with 2s, you're playing Wii Joker, it's really funny, really, really funny. I've never done it, I've gotten close though, but imagine, right? There's so, like, it has more flexibility than Tribule. It has a way, way harder condition than Tribule, but it's just as powerful in scoring. And it's not even a legendary. It's just super, super strong. Red Seals work incredibly well with it. Like I said, you know, Hanging Chad, Hack, Sock and Buskin all work incredibly well with it. It's just incredibly powerful joker that do be careful, it does take a long time to get there. It's not the greatest in your regular 8 ante run. I find it takes about 10 or so antes to get your deck to a state where idol is like actively really, really good. You can do it. You can get there if you get really lucky. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you couldn't, but for the most part, like on average, I'd say it's about 9 or 10 antes if you're really trying to make idol work. So yeah, it can be fine in your gold stake run, but again, it's not the most consistent. Seeing Double. Play a hand that contains 4 7s of clubs, and it gives ×2 Molt if played hand has a scoring club card and a scoring card of any other suit. It's fine. So, the way you make Seeing Double more consistent is to make more clubs. However, if you make more clubs, you have less cards of other suits that you can score for Seeing Double. It's just, like, not amazing. I gotta be honest. It works with wild cards, so like, yeah, but again, wild cards really aren't that great. There's just, ×2 Molt is like not that common, so when it does show up, it typically has a very easy condition, like the Duo, which it will be on this video. The Duo, you know, it just ×2 Molt if you play a pair. That's super easy, or if your hand contains a pair, super easy actually. Seeing Double though, its condition is like worthwhile for a ×3 Molt joker, I think. If it were ×3 Molt, I think it would be a good joker. But at ×2 Molt, it's just kind of bad. Sorry. Matador. Defeat a boss blind in one hand without using discards, and then it gives $8 if played hand triggers the boss blind ability. I've said this before. It only works on 13 out of 28 bosses. The Window, the Head, the Club, and the Goad, which are all the flush bosses. The Plant, which is face cards disabled. Then you have Pillar, Flint, Eye, Mouse, Psychic, Arm, Verdant Leaf, and Ox. I'm just not even, whatever. The Ox, though, oh my gosh. So the Ox, while it does work if you trigger the Ox, right? If you play the hand that makes your hand cost 0, it makes so your money costs $0, or you have $0. Sorry, you will get the $8 afterwards, so it's a condolence, but it's not great. Otherwise, Matador, if you do have these early boss blinds that Matador can gain value out of, and you do get it early, it's a pretty decent pickup for like one ante to get like, you know, $32. You know, it's just solid if you use it like that, but it's not consistent. If it were just more consistent, I think it would be a better Joker. Like, if it worked on every boss blind, it would just be it would be a good Joker even. But the fact that it only works on 13 out of 28 bosses, yeah, just not good. Pretty bad overall. Hit the Road. So, you unlock Hit the Road by discarding 5 jacks at the same time, and it gives times 0.5 mult for each jack discarded this round. Hit the Road is fine if you have a couple extra jacks. If you discard 6 jacks in a round, it gives times 3 mult, which is pretty good. I dare to call it a good Joker, though. I've had Hit the Road a couple times. Of course, it is a rare, so, like, yeah. But when you do find it, unless you have, like, a lot of jacks, it's just, like, not that great. And, while, you know, if you find it in the early game, though, it's so useless. Most of the time that I find Hit the Road, I find it early. And most of the time that I find it early, it's just like, okay, I'm just looking to sell this at some point. It does take a lot. It can be strong. I'm not saying it can't be, right? If you have, you know, red deck, 5 discards, you discard 25 jacks, it gives 12.5 mult, I believe. Yeah. Which is good. That is really, really high, right? But how many times is that actually happening to you? First of all, you have to be playing red deck, so it's actually 5 cards with 4 discards gives 10 mult. So knock that off. It's just like, it does require the discard vouchers to even get that high, so it's actively like 5 mult. It's just like, it can work and it can be powerful, but realistically speaking, it's not one of the better Jokers. It's definitely not one of the better rare Jokers, and I would like to see, I mean, maybe with Blue Stake getting change, it probably becomes a lot better, I will say. But I've got to be honest with you, I've never won a run with it, and that's not for a lack of trying. I've tried to win with it on Gold Stake many times, and I think it's just going to have to be, I play Anaglyph deck, and I hit it as a negative Joker for me to get it as a Gold Stake win. That's how a lot of Jokers are, but I don't know. I think I have like a mental block with it or something. It doesn't feel very good to use, even when you do have it in a good scenario. So be very careful with it. That's the best I can. The Duo. Win a run without playing a pair. The Duo gives times 2 mult if played hand contains a pair. This is incredibly powerful. Like I said, times 2 mult for a very easy condition is good. It works in pairs, 3 of a kind, 2 pair, full house, 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind, flush 5. It can work in flushes. There's so many scenarios that getting the times 2 mult from the Duo is good. And then, like, yeah, times 2 mult, it might not sound like that much, but it's still just solid. It's still very, very strong. And there's not much more I can say about it. Pairs are one of the best poker hands already. They're incredibly easy to play. They scale pretty decently, all things considered, especially, again, for how easy they are to play. One of the main powers of pairs is that you can play them without, like, you can play 2 cards, and then you have 3 other cards you can play just to get them out of your hand. That's another thing about High Card, is that a part of the reason High Card is so powerful is being able to do that. Or on the flip side, you know, it's a pair, you're only playing 2 cards, so you can have as many, like, gold and steel cards in your hand as possible as well. So, yeah, pairs are just really good. If you haven't been playing them, I would recommend trying pairs more often. There's a lot of Jokers that synergize with pairs that are solid as well, that people just overlook, but if you use them for pairs, are pretty solid. The Trio. Win a run without playing a 3 of a kind. Basically, everything I said about pairs applies to 3 of a kind, but just a little bit worse. But the flip side is, it gives times 3 mult if played hand contains 3 of a kind. So, instead of times 2 mult. So, of course, it, you know, applies to 3 of a kind, full house, flush house, full house, or what did I say? 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind, flush 5, etc. 3 of a kind is also a very good hand. It scales very well. It's like, it scales well. It's not very hard to make. And just, again, a lot of jokers work well with playing 3 of a kinds. It can also kick out cards from your hand, similar to a pair, but, not as well. It's just a solid poker hand to be making. If you're playing full houses, if you're playing 3 of a kind, if you're playing, anything else, you're pretty happy when you find the trio, because, like I said, ×3 mult is pretty common and pretty strong, but the easier the condition, well, yeah, playing a 3 of a kind is not that hard of a condition, just very, very powerful. Then you have the family, which, of course, you unlock it by not playing a 4 of a kind. They're all basically like this, and it gives ×4 mult if you play a 4 of a kind. This, I do have to say, is not the greatest. 4 of a kind is already not one of the better hands, because, for the most part, while it is a fine hand, I'm not saying it isn't, if you are playing a 4 of a kind, it's, and consistently playing 4 of a kind, you could also consistently be playing 5 of a kind. And, well, at that point, why wouldn't you be? 4 of a kind is in this awkward scenario where if your deck fix enough to make 4 of a kind realistic, then 5 of a kind becomes realistic. But if you don't deck fix enough, then 4 of a kind isn't good, and you'd rather be playing 3 of a kind or pair. So it's in an awkward scenario. That being said, though, if you are playing it, ×4 mult, no one's ever going to say no to ×4 mult if you're playing a 5 of a kind or flush 5 build. Just a good, solid joker there. But the deck fixing required is pretty big, and you're not really going to be playing 4 of a kinds. I do have to say. That's the thing about Balatro is, yes, the trio works on 3 of a kinds, but also works on full house. So you want to be working towards those in equal amount, because, full house just scales better than 3 of a kind, right? 3 of a kind is kind of your backup hand, right? If you're not hitting that full house. But if you are hitting a full house, just super great. Family, it technically doesn't work as well as that, right? Because, with trio, you can still be playing 4 of a kind, or etc., right? You just have less options with the family, so it's powerful, but it's not the greatest, it's not the most consistent. The order: win a 1 without playing a straight, and it gives ×3 mult if played hand contains a straight. Again, I'd say straights are about as hard to make as a 3 of a kind, so it makes sense it's ×3 mult. It's just good. What? They scale well, but sorry, I was reading my thing. They're hard hit. Straights in general are kind of not that great in Gold Stake because, well, they're one of the harder hands to make, because you have to get, a 1, well, not 1. You have to get a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or ace, I guess. In general, you have to be hitting those 5 specific cards. And yeah, you can deck fix towards it, and it's not the hardest to get, but missing out on that 1 discard from Blue Stake affects straights more than almost any other hand. So while the order is fine, straights in general aren't the greatest in Gold Stake. They're fine. You can use them. They scale well. I'm not saying don't play towards them. But a lot of times, it's just hard to use them. And realistically speaking, straight jokers kind of suck. You have Shortcut, which is a utility joker that doesn't do anything. You have Four Fingers, which is a utility joker that technically makes straight flushes easier, but yeah. And then, what? You have those 2 common jokers that give you chips and flat mult for hitting straights. You have Runner, which is okay. You have Superposition, which is not great. Yeah, straights just they're fine, but the jokers around them are also quite bad. And then last but least is the Tribe. Don't play it. You unlock it by not playing or winning a run without playing a flush, and it gives ×2 mult if played hand contains a flush. This is the problem. So the Tribe is fine. I'm not gonna say it's a bad joker. It has a pretty easy condition. Flushes, I've said this before, have the easiest 5-card hand to make. However, you're getting ×2 mult from it. It is just objectively easier to make a pair than it is to make a flush. So the Tribe is in an awkward position. I don't see a reason why it couldn't be at least 2.5x mult. I really don't. I think that would be solid and better. But it's a fine joker. Don't get me wrong. It just when you're comparing the risk to reward ratio, it's just lower than the duo. And maybe that's also because the duo is just incredibly powerful. So yeah, but I don't know. Tribe, it's a solid, good joker if you do find it. It is a rare, of course, so it's not super. These are all rares, but it's just good. I'd never complain about it being offered if I'm playing flushes, so I'm not going to say anything bad about it. It's just easy to use as well. So we get to talk about Stuntman finally. I love Stuntman. You have to earn at least 100 million chips in a single hand. Stuntman gives plus 250 chips and minus 2 hand size. So Stuntman is just incredibly powerful in the early game. It's incredibly powerful in the mid game, and it's still pretty decent in the late game. However, the hand size becomes more of an issue in the late game than that. If you have in the early game, you have any tiny bit of flat molt, it goes crazy. If you have it in the mid game and you have like an okay amount of flat molt or a lot of levels in your poker hand, it goes crazy. It's just super powerful. It pushes you towards high card and pair, which I've already talked about, are pretty good hands to begin with. Gold seal or not gold seal. Actually, yeah, having specific enhancements or specific cards you want to be playing is going to be worse because of the lower hand size. So don't really try to work towards that. But I mean, if you're just playing high cards and you have a lot of jokers that benefit from high card, and you just have powerful jokers anyway, the plus 250 chips is really powerful. It's just good, just very, very solid joker at most stages of the game. If you're playing like Plasma deck, it's insane. Stuntman on Plasma deck is really, really strong. If you haven't tried that yet, I mean, just queue up Plasma deck, just keep playing. Eventually you'll hit something or something similar, and it's really fun. Super good joker. Yeah. So Invisible Joker, you win a game while never having more than 4 jokers. So if you play like Painted deck, that's guaranteed basically. Anyway, after 2 rounds, sell this to duplicate a random joker. On average, I cannot say that Invisible Joker is that good. On average. Realistically, a lot of the time, you have Perishable, you have Eternal, you have Rental Jokers, right? Because you just need them sometimes. So Invisible Joker, if it hits one of those, it feels really bad. But then there's also the times where you only have good jokers for Invisible Joker to hit, and it's insane. It's a copy is your best joker, right? So when you do have the scenarios where Invisible Joker is good, incredible joker. Truly an incredible joker. But I find more often than not, I take an Invisible Joker, I'm like, I can't even use this, right? Or I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy it because what could I even get with it, right? It's not better to have two of two bad jokers than to have one of a bad joker and try to get something else good. So the upper power level of Invisible Joker, incredible, right? You could hit a Baron, you could hit more stuff. I did have a run where I had Stuntman, then I had an Invisible Joker in my shop, hit Stuntman, then another Invisible Joker in my shop. So I had 3 Stuntmen, and I had to sell one because I hit the Psychic, but it would have been so awesome to play a run with 3 Stuntmen, right? You have -6 hand size, you only have 2 cards in hand. That would have been so awesome. But, you know how it is, you can't have fun in video games sometimes in roguelites. Sometimes you get against a boss or an enemy that you just have to, you have to deal with. So I had done that run. That's just a self thing. Invisible Joker, it's powerful, it can be useful, but it's so specific, especially in Gold Stake. For something like White Stake, Invisible Joker is just insane, right? Because there are no tags to be ruined to ruin the Invisible Joker, right? Another thing about it is that if you do copy a negative Joker, the copy won't be negative, so do be careful about that. It's really funny because these 2 are on the title, but I didn't even do that on purpose. So we have Brainstorm, which you unlock after you discard a Royal Flush, and it copies the ability of the leftmost Joker. It does literally everything that Blueprint does, but slightly worse. Now, what do I mean by that? So Blueprint being on the left side of the Joker means that you can position it basically anywhere. But Brainstorm, you have to put it as your leftmost Joker, the Joker you want to copy. Which for most, I'd say the majority of Jokers really doesn't matter. But if you're using something like an X-Molt Joker and you have flat Molt Jokers, then yeah, you would rather have Blueprint in that scenario. So say you have the Duo, and you're copying the Duo with your Blueprint, and then you have a Supernova, a realistic scenario to be in. You have Duo to get ×2 Molt, then you place your Supernova, getting you 20 Molt from playing pairs, then you play your other Brainstorm. It would be better, I guess technically the Duo isn't a better, sorry, say the Trio, right? Because ×3 Molt, if you're just copying a flat Molt source, it's effectively ×2 Molt. Anyway, so the Trio, right? You ×3 your base, whatever your poker hand is, then you would get your flat Molt, then you would ×3 it again, which is just worse than Blueprint, right? Because Blueprint, you could get the flat Molt, and then ×3, and then ×3. There's not I mean, that only really applies, I find, to, like, X-Molt Jokers. I'm sure there's other scenarios, right, of other Jokers, like, being worse to be on the left side, but the primary one is, of course, these X-Molt Jokers. That being said, though, it's still incredibly powerful. Blueprint but worse still means it's probably the second best Joker in the game, right? That doesn't... It's like how people used to say Falco was just Fox but worse in Melee. Yeah, but Fox is also, like, the best character by a lot, and Falco's, like, I guess he's technically the third best character right now from tier list, but still, he's still a powerful character. Blueprint, still an incredibly powerful Joker. Satellite. You have to have at least, or to unlock Satellite, you have to have at least $400, and then it earns $1 at the end of round per unique planet card used this run. So, the upper echelon of Satellite is $12 if you play every single planet card. But realistically, you're probably gonna, like, want it when it's giving you, like, $5 or $6. You played, like, a bunch of random planets that you've either gotten from, like, High Priestess, or you find it and you're like, okay, well, I might as well fuel it, right? I would really never take Satellite if I didn't already have, like, 2 or 3 planets, I think. Because it's like, okay, well, each planet costs $3. So it would take 3 rounds to pay it off just because I got the Satellite, right? If I already have those planets, Satellite is just, or it's just so much better. I'm not having to go out of my way to buy these planets. But, I don't know. Like, it's fine. It's very solid. I like using it when I find it, but I do not think that you should take it if you don't already have 2, maybe 3 planets anyway. The amount of money that you're losing from it is just not that great, and there's just better money Jokers if you're only getting, like, a $1 or $2 out of it. There's just way better money Jokers that exist, and the initial cost of it already is just like, well, damn, right? It's going to take forever to pay itself off, and then not even give that much money. But, I mean, it is a powerful Joker. I'm not saying it isn't, right? Money is the best thing in the game, right? Having more money is the best thing you can do in Balatro, right? Because if you have more money, you can buy better Jokers. Or reroll for better Jokers. Just very good. Shoot the Moon. You have to play every heart card in your deck in 1 round, and what it does is each queen held in hand gives plus 13 volt. So Shoot the Moon is just a solid, powerful early game Joker. It's okay in the mid game, and then it falls off pretty damn hard in the late game. It works with Mime, so, like, there's that. But, like, the primary thing of Shoot the Moon is just solid. It gives you a good amount of molt, like a pretty, really good amount of molt, all things considered for the early game. If you have 4 queens, it gives 42 molt, which is insane, right? I talked about how Onyx Agate gives, like, 35 molt, right? But I digress. If you fully deck build towards having, 8 queens in hand, I mean, that's, like, okay, but if you're doing that, you might as well just be playing 5 of a kind, because that would just scale better than Shoot the Moon. And yeah. It's not the same as with, say, Baron in having a million kings, because Baron unbelievably outscales 5 of a kind. Like, not even, it's crazy, right? But Shoot the Moon does not come close to outscaling, like, a 5 of a kind, 4 of a kind. Even, like, I don't even think it outscales 3 of a kind. But I digress. If you're playing it in the early game, super powerful Joker, and, like, I'd say, like, realistically, if you're not getting, like, a bunch of steel cards and mimes and shit, you could probably transition out of it by the mid game and not be upset, but I don't know. I've had it. I felt very solid using it in my early game on my runs. It never even feels that bad to use. Yeah, if you don't have queens, like, it's useless technically, so don't use it in an abandoned deck, of course. But if you don't have that many queens, it's still not the best feeling in the world. But get a couple queens, like 5, 6, 7 queens, increase your density of queens, maybe get some deaths to make it so that, like, proportionally your deck just has more queens. It's just solid. Enough said. Driver's License gives to unlock Driver's License, you have to enhance 16 cards in your deck, and then it gives ×3 molt if you have at least 16 enhanced cards in your full deck. So, like I said, ×3 molt is very strong, and the condition is easy. Almost always, you're going to be enhancing cards, right? You find Arcana packs, you'll get, bonus cards, you'll get molt cards, you'll get lucky cards, etc., right? And if you do that, like, I'd say the average I find Driver's License, I'll have, like, 4, 5, 6 enhanced cards in my deck, somewhere in that range. So, it won't be active right away, but it's not like you don't want to have enhanced cards. So getting ×3 molt from your driver's license is something you want to be doing. It's just solid, good Joker. Not much more to say about that. Also, haha, the license is expired. You know, everyone talks about it always. Cartomancer. You discover every tarot card to unlock it, and it creates a tarot card when the blind is selected. It's just solid. I don't know more to say. It gives you good tarot card. I mean, most tarot cards are pretty useful in some way, shape, or form. You could get a flush suit, or you get a suit tarot card, like the moon, the world, the sun, and the star to, you know, save your run from a boss blind that's not, like, one of the boss blinds that turns them off, right? You could get hermits and get money. You could get hangman and destroy cards in your deck. You get death to copy your good cards. Just solid. It has not really any condition. It's just good in the early game. It's fine in the mid game. Yeah, in the late game, there's definitely better options. Not the greatest, but it's just solid. Purely a solid Joker. I rarely pass it up if I find it and I'm in a good position for it. It's just purely solid. That's the thing about Balatro, right? Is there aren't that many broken Jokers, and there aren't that many terrible Jokers. There's just a lot of very solid Jokers that you can use it in the right scenario, and you're pretty happy with it, and the amount of scenarios is pretty often, right? Speaking of a very solid Joker that you use in a lot of scenarios is Astronomer. You unlock it by discovering all planet cards. Astronomer, it makes it so all planet cards and celestial packs in the shop are free. Now, on its own, that's fine, right? You can get, like, levels for free, you can get, of course, your packs for free, and that's just good, right? But the really powerful part of Astronomer is that you can sell the planet cards you buy. So you buy them for $0, and you sell them for $1. So, if you have, like, a campfire, right? That makes it so you can buy and sell the planets for positive money for your campfire. Or, you know, more realistically, you can use it with Constellation, and, well, you're going to buy a bunch of planets anyway, so you're ramping up your Constellation and not spending nearly as much money as you would be, because realistically, Constellation's a very expensive Joker, so Hologram makes it actually, like, very cheap in comparison to what it is naturally. Astronomer's just really solid Joker. Again, it helps sort your income, it helps scale, it helps other Joker scale. Solid, good Joker. Now, last but very certainly not least is Burnt Joker and Bootstrap. Burnt Joker, you unlock it by selling 50 cards, and what it does is you upgrade the level of the first discarded poker hand each round. So, Burnt Joker is more of a consistency thing than anything else. It's not consistent to discard a straight in your first hand of every round. Even if you have your deck fixed, it's just not consistent, right? However, it is very consistent to discard a high card, to discard a pair, or, again, if you have deck fixed, to discard like a flush, or technically a 5 of a kind in general, right? So it's best when you have these hands that you can deck fix around to be super consistent and not need as many discards to get to build the hand in the first place, right? Your pair, your flush, your high card, your 5 of a kind, etc. So if you are getting that, Burnt Joker is amazing. Getting a guaranteed level every single round is just solid. It's good. It helps in the mid game. It's pretty decent in the late game. In the early game, I mean, if you're using your discard for just that, it can be pretty tricky, because typically in the early game you want to be playing these bigger hands because they score better without as many levels. So it's like a catch-22, right? But that being said, Burnt Joker, just super good Joker. I've used Burnt Joker to get over 100, not the Burnt Joker itself, but I had a run where I got over 100 levels in high card, and Burnt Joker definitely helped me. It probably made up a third of the levels, so yeah, just think about that, right? You can have runs with Burnt Joker as long as you use it every single round. There's 3 rounds per ante, 8 antes, which is 30, that's not 32, that's 24. Have I been saying 32? I might have said 32 when I was talking about Wii Joker. Anyway, bad at math. Yeah, 24 levels. That's good. Obviously, I mean, not early game, but yeah, the amount of just good stuff that Burnt Joker does for you, like I said before, a lot of the time when you're playing like flushes, you really need a lot more levels in Jupiter than other hands because it just doesn't scale very well, right? So Burnt Joker helps you out there. Just a really solid Joker. And then Bootstrap. So you unlock Bootstrap by having at least 2 Polychrome Jokers at the same time, and it gives +2 molt for every $5 you have. Bootstrap is fine, It's not the greatest. I'm not the biggest fan of it because, well, when you break down the numbers, you have to have $50 for Bootstrap to give you 20 mole. And that's, like, fine, right? It's fine. You have to have $100 for it to give you 40 mole, which is, like, fine, I guess. Again, it's just fine. A lot of the time you have Bootstrap, it's kind of not doing that much, and then you're kind of, like, getting to a sense of, oh, I need to hoard money for the Bootstrap, but then, like, it's still just not doing that much. There's, like, as a flat molt option, there's just better flat molt jokers that don't make you hoard as much money so you can actually find those better jokers that you want anyway, right? Yeah, of course, if you're getting like $100 per round, then yeah, the Bootstraps is great, but that's not the average run. The average run, especially the average Gold Stake run, you're kind of starved for cash, especially in the early game. So a lot of the time you're going to be rolling trying to get literally anything, and then Bootstrap's just like, oh wait, not that big. It's just wasting your money almost. That being said, if you have a lot of money, you get a lot of investment tags, or you find some early, money generating jokers, and then Bootstrap, you just have a good amount of money throughout the mid game and late game. Yeah, Bootstrap can be very powerful there. Anyway, oh my gosh, that's the it for me. This video was meant to come out, like 4 days ago. I don't know, it was long, and I just was not looking forward to doing it. Yeah, it's over an hour and 11 minutes long. That being said, for anyone that's made it this far in this video, if it wasn't obvious, I was trying to take a more beginner-friendly approach to this video. Typically, when I make my videos, I try to do that anyway, but this one I really tried to do so because, well, it's a beginner-friendly topic, right? Unlockable jokers. So if anything I said is missing more of these, like, more nuanced things about the game, that's why. Yeah, my Discord and socials are there on screen, or they're down in the description. Make sure to join my Discord. We talk about Balatro, yada yada. And I'm going to be streaming for the House of Hearts event for the American Heart Association. Sorry, I'm gonna be doing that later this month, around like the 25th, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be doing it on YouTube, of course. So just make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and join my Discord. I'm gonna be posting more updates about that. That being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I just talked for like an hour and a half straight. My brain is mush. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.